Gunquestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And welcome everybody to our Ask Gun Questions show. So Tony's joining us from New Jersey. Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
And we got the chat going, so anybody that wants to participate live, that's what it's all about. And we've got a bunch of questions that have come in over the years and over the last while, as soon as I find them here. But while I'm looking for those, we missed last week because of my bad. So what's been happening in your side of the country?
Well, man, I had a lot going on. If you talk about firearms related, because Marine Corps birthday, Veterans Day, I participated in the Marine Corps Heritage Shoot put on by the New Jersey Military Shooters or something like that. I continually forget the name of the organization, and I apologize for that. But if you follow me on Instagram or anything, I got the name right when I wrote it down. And they have shoots at the range, 100 yards for most of them. 100 yards for most of them, and they're named after Marine Corps battles. So I participated in the Battle of Way City, which if people don't know, that took place during Vietnam. So it was for iron-sighted AR-15 M16s. So I used my dissipator clone that I built with the carrying handle. I used that, and I actually won my category. They had Fallujah, which is modern ARs, and they could be iron-sighted or optics. I have never figured out how to zero my 1-8, so I snatched the 1-8 off and tried to shoot it with the iron sights, but I don't think they were on either. So I participated in a couple, and I won one. It's just a fun event where you see a bunch of people with different guns from different eras. Springfield trapdoors, bolt actions from World War One. Some years they even have guys out there with black powder and they're shooting like Civil War era Marine Corps guns. So it's a pretty cool competition. I also shot the police combat shoot last Friday, which is old school, like 1970s, 80s police combat shooting where you start off at 7 yards and you work your way back to 25 and then you do a simulated 50-yard shooting. That was fun. I scored in the middle of the pack on that one. 36. I came in like 18th. So I got some shooting done and had a diversity shoot, and it was packed to overflowing at in Monroe at Recoil Range, and that was a lot of fun. We actually had 3 distinctly different families that came out and brought their kids and grandkids, and I thought it was pretty cool. One guy's retired Navy, and he brought his grandkids out and his son-in-law. And another lady and her whole family was from the Ukraine. And there was a teen boy, teen girl, or early. I think the young man was like 18, and the girl might have been a little bit older. I'm not sure. But they had a great time. And I forgot who the third family was. But yeah, we had 3 distinct families come to the diversity shoot, and I thought that was pretty cool.
And how often do and when you say family, like 3 generations or?
This one, one was grandpa, son-in-law, and the grandkids. So that was just one family, and then they had the other one with the teens. That was mom, dad, and the teen kids. And then there was a third actual family that came. I'm blanking. I don't know why. But yeah, they came through, and then individuals come through. The thing is,
it unusual to have a family show up?
We usually have 1, maybe 2, but this time it was like 3 totally different families. Sometimes we have blended or extended family come in, so you have like 10 people, but they're all related in some way. So it's working like it's supposed to. I mean, this is what's supposed to happen. People should be comfortable enough to bring their children, their grandchildren. And I look forward to seeing it, especially the younger generations. And it's funny because the number of mixed families that come in is pretty cool too.
The what kind of families?
Interracial.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, interracial families come through. And it's like, heck yeah, because you know how silly things can get being in interracial relationships, being on one side or the other. If people don't know you're married to an other, they say things around you that may be disturbing because they don't know your significant other is one of those people, whatever one of those people may be.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, well, okay, so that was the shoot that you talked about. Was that a Veterans Day shoot or was that a Marines thing?
That was it was just called Marine Heritage Shoot because they do it near the Marine Corps birthday every year. January they're gonna have one called the Winter Shoot, and it's just gonna be named after various battles in American history that took place in the winter. So we're gonna have, the Trenton, obviously because of George Washington crossing the Delaware and kicking the redcoats out of Trenton. We're gonna have like Frozen Chosen that you use World War II and Korea era weaponry. It's pretty cool. So you can bring whatever surplus firearm you have, and there will be a category for it. They only do rifles, though. They only do rifles.
Well, it kind of makes sense for two reasons, because it's an outdoor range, right? Otherwise, they'd have to go to like the short out in the handgun section of the outdoor range if they even have one. But then also, there's not really many handguns used in battles ever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess
that's the annoying part.
Or something. Maybe,
there's only a couple. It's like you're only going to get. I mean, come on, it's the American military. You're only going to get 2 pistols, really, unless somebody brings out, an M1917 revolver.
I'm guessing, though. Okay, Phil, let me ask another question that I had from before. This came up probably, I don't know, some show I was in or something I was listening to or something. And I know that the Army's older than the Marines by a little bit, but did the Navy exist before the Marines, or were the Marines first? I don't know that. I was wondering if you
I think all of them existed. I mean, we did the Continental Army, we did the Navy, because the Navy had to exist for the Marine Corps to exist.
That's what I kind of figured.
mean, truthfully,
I never hear about the Navy birthday. I don't pay attention, so I just never paid attention to the years. Because I know the Marines is pretty darn old. Because I'm pretty sure it's the Army or Army Reserve or something came first. Because there was nothing, and then they started an army to collect taxes or something, and then the Army went away. So that's why it's like, who's oldest? It's hard to say. But and then the Navy was pretty important back in the old days. I mean, it's kind of important now, I guess, but super important. It was like it was everything back in the day. But so I don't want to talk shit on it or nothing. Like, I understand they got a lot of history. It's just that I don't know any of it really, or I haven't retained any of it. But I just assumed that they had to be older than you because you're sort of their arms, right? Like they're the swimmers part and you're the arms part. But
we're the soldiers from sea, baby.
Then the other question I was going to follow up with that one was, and I can't remember what it was. Maybe I'll think of it when I'm not thinking of it. Let's see. So I asked people to ask questions because we don't have a lot of questions over in the spreadsheet over here in the place where the questions go when people ask them. We're up to date on them. We don't get a huge flow of them over there, mainly because we've answered all the questions. We've addressed all the questions people have. So there's only a limited number of questions people could even have out there anymore. We've answered over 900 questions on this sheet alone. And but Woods has a question. So I asked people out that are watching right now if you've got any questions. So Woods says or asks, will the red team do, I'm assuming that means the Republicans, do anything, or will it be a repeat of 2016? I'm assuming he means as far as Second Amendment stuff, gun
doing
control.
Absolutely nothing for gun rights. Yeah.
Well,
so
nothing is one thing, but taking away gun rights or the rights of gun owners is another thing. So due process was a thing with Trump the first time, and then bump stocks was a thing with Trump the first time. So it's not like nothing. It was like actually a backslide, right? It wasn't awesome.
So this was the first. Okay, so this was the first diversity shoot immediately after the election. And oh yeah, that was the third family. It was a black family that came in, and she brought her nephew, who was an adult male. And so I'm standing there, and I got people from all along the political spectrum, I'm sure. And I'm like, this could be, I mean, I've hosted diversity shoots. I hosted a diversity shoot the day of the Uvalde school shooting. So, you're talking about gun rights and the fact that it is your civil right to hold on to this, but they still haven't taken the room at Uvalde. So I'm like, okay, this could be really sensitive. You know what I mean? This could be a real sensitive topic because it's 2 days after the election. I mean, it was Thursday. The election was Tuesday. Everybody had Wednesday to deal with it. Thursday, I host my event. And I walk right in and I was like, this could be a minefield, but I don't care because this needs to be said. And then I turn around and pull out a hat that says, make black rifles great again in the friggin' MAGA font. And I put the hat on. And I'm like, regardless of who's president, I'm a Second Amendment advocate. And this is what needs to happen. Regardless of what party you voted for, you need to continually fight for your Second Amendment civil rights. If you believe we've elected literally Hitler, then you need to push to make sure you have the right to bear arms no matter what. And if you believe that we're going to have mostly peaceful protests until January 20th or afterwards, you need to push your legislators too. No one can afford to sit on their ass. We've won the House, the Senate, and the presidency. We can't have a repeat of 2016 where for 2 years they do absolutely nothing. I was like, so truthfully, what you need to do is find all of those bills the Republicans put up when they knew they couldn't pass, all those pro-gun bills that they wanted out there when they knew the Democrats wouldn't vote for them. You need to copy and paste it and write your Republican representatives now and go, hey, guess what's a great time to put this up? Because what are they going to do? Well, this isn't the time. This is the perfect time. Did you think it was really time when the Democrats had the White House and the majority? No, now's the time. So we've already sat on our butts in 2016 to 2018, thinking times are going to be great. And we were highly disappointed in the Republican Party. And we didn't really win many things outside of putting judges in courts, which is cool, but I don't want it to get that far. A lot of people consider that a win. I consider it a plan B, maybe even a plan C. How's not get the laws passed in the first place? Because people like me have to live under them until the lawsuits come through. And that's 5 to 7 to 10 years of living under draconian laws, what don't make any sense and cost people their freedom. So I feel we need to get off our butts early and start doing that research now and telling your representative what you expect of them. And if you're on Team Blue, you need to go, hey, if he's going to open up camps and ship people back and bring back slavery, and I can't even remember all the other stupid crap I've heard, but was that all hyperbole just for a re-election? Because I believed it, and now it's time for me to be armed up, and I think I need weapons of war because someone's trying to make me a slave again and put me in camps. Sorry, but you're going to have to use their own arguments against them. And if you're a Democrat, write your Democratic legislator. If you're a Republican, you got to contact your Republican legislators because Republicans are known for sitting on their butts and doing nothing to push back against gun control when they're in power. They somehow just want to maintain status quo and say stupid stuff like, well, we need to enforce the laws that are in place already. We don't need new ones. Well, that's great if you live in a place with good laws. But if you live in a place like New Jersey that's ridiculous, it makes me continually get background checks, have waiting periods, and all of that, and also don't recognize anyone else's carry permits. All of that is stuff that needs to be changed and fought for when we have the advantage, and we need to push it. So, yeah, the red team will sit on its ass and do absolutely nothing if you don't motivate it to do something.
Sorry, I muted so I didn't. You don't hear the dog over here making his weird noises. But also, I didn't want to interrupt you. But I put a bunch of comments in there as you were saying stuff. So I'll go back to those. First, I'm going to hit the comment on the screen because the comment the question that we're answering or addressing right now is Woods' question about will the Republicans do anything this session? No, what do they call it, this term, or will it be a repeat of 16? And we talked about the bump stocks, and we talked about the what was it called? Take the guns first and due process second. That was pretty atrocious. And then let's not forget what Kirby put on the screen here, the Hearing Protection Act. So both the Hearing Protection Act and National Reciprocity were all but done. Like they were all but passed through Congress. Waiting for Trump to sign them in November of 2018. I think it was either October or November. And I was coming back from a road trip, and I only remember this specifically because coming back from a road trip, having gone into pretty substantial credit card debt with the van breaking down a couple of times, but finishing the trip. And, you know, when you go on a trip, at least when you're a YouTuber, when you go on a trip, you collect a lot of content, you collect a lot of videos and stuff. So I had spent a week in Vegas, if I remember right. No, I wasn't in Vegas. That was where the thing happened. I would have been coming back in 18. That was Gun Rights Policy Conference, Chicago. So I'm driving home from, wait a minute, was I in Vegas? Shit, I might have been in Vegas just before all that bullshit happened, now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, I'm coming home, and I was going to say I ended up running out of money for the trip, and I just hung out in Vegas because I didn't feel like going home. I had planned to be on the road going through California at the end of that trip, but I ran out of gas money, so I just kind of hung out in Vegas editing videos. And just a little behind the scenes, you don't just drop 1,000 videos on YouTube or whatever. I've been on the road for months, so you trickle the videos out, 1 or 2 a week or something, so that it doesn't overflow everybody's inbox and people have interest, and you make use out of the content that you spend a lot of time and money creating. And I was putting all that stuff, kind of getting it all together and gathering it. And in a world where we had a Republican as a result of Obama really pushing against rights with the 23 executive actions and all that. And then we had a community that had resisted all that had challenged that individually and succeeded. So, and you had all your organizations that we talk about all the time, the generation of organizations that were pro-rights in all different directions coming in 2015, and they were all kind of getting their legs, and everything was kind of going well. And then boom, the bullshit happens in Vegas, which I say is fake. I'm allowed to. It's my show. And boom, everything just drops. The Republicans quit talking about guns completely, and that administration didn't say shit about the Hearing Protection Act and National Reciprocity, just disappearing, turning into vaporware, like in an evening. Like it was done. And that was so close to being done. Like a whole bunch of us were paying attention to this. So anyhow, I didn't want to forget that piece, because that was heinous. That was such crap. And to let it vaporize just because of news, and there can be a debate on whether or not that's real news or not. That's messed up. And to allow that to happen is even worse, right? Like, because hopefully they investigate all that shit. I hope the fuck they investigate all that shit, because that is messed up. We don't have any answers from there, and they don't make any sense. Like, there's nothing that adds up about anything that happened there, and people don't even pay attention to it because nobody's urging anybody to pay attention to it. And if we're paying organizations millions of dollars a year to tell us what we want to hear, I'm getting sick of hearing what I want to hear, or actually what a bunch of people want to hear, because I don't want to hear it anymore. But we don't hear a lot from the organizations. And now that we got anyway, without getting into too much of a rant, we got a new administration that says they're concerned about the way things have been handled. Well, they started being handled that way historically. Part of it overlapped into that administration's first time around. So yeah, fix a lot of that shit. Anyhow, without getting into too much, I almost wanted to throw that Hearing Protection Act into it. But then let's see, not this one, this one, I guess. So you had said a bunch of good stuff, and I don't want to disagree with it or anything, but something about what I was going through my head right there as you were saying it, I want to interrupt. But when you talk about talking to someone who's maybe been historically anti-gun, we would say anti-rights, but they're, they don't like guns, so they don't think people should own them. They don't think it's that big a deal to expect people to give up some toy or some vice so that people can be safe. Like, in their minds, never been challenged. That makes sense to them. And you suggest that if one of your points was, if they really think that a horrible change of regime has happened and that they're truly in danger, that this isn't the time that they'd want to give up their rights to defend themselves. That's challenging them to be strong, right? Like, challenge, not like you're not like victim and blaming them or anything, like, but you're requiring them to be strong. Like, that requires that person to want to, what's the word, take advantage of their rights. But I don't always, but I was just playing devil's advocate in my head there, that there's people, because there are going to be people that don't want to take, that don't feel like it's their need to take their whatever. That's why they pay the police. That's why they live in this country. And they're allowed to think that. Like, we're allowed to have different ideas about stuff. So those people, that I just think that's going to fall dead. Like, they're going to go, yeah, that's what police are for. And they're not going to take your argument or whatever. So I would just say another way, or maybe an additional thing to add to that, is, you hate guns so bad. What experience do you have with guns? Like, name the number of things you hate. Name the number of people you respect who hate things with no knowledge of them. Like, if you're 100% of your knowledge comes from people who just told you stuff, ask them if they have any knowledge with it. So if your knowledge is 100% from people who barely have any knowledge, do you really even have any knowledge? So I would say another challenge to these people who hate guns and hate the new regime, you could say, maybe they don't hate guns. Maybe they could care less about guns, but they hate the new regime. Say, hey, why don't you learn about guns and figure out, why so many people on your side are interested in these things and why you don't need to be as scared of them. I was just going to throw that out there, like challenging their knowledge versus challenging their need to be strong. Because I don't know, like I say, I think for some people that's going to fall flat. Like, they either think like, oh, I live in a world where I have police, so therefore we're not going to have crime. Therefore, I don't need to be strong. Or they're going to say, if there's crime, we pay police, so I don't have to be strong. But you know what I mean? Like, they definitely have the right to think they don't need to defend themselves. Like, that's us. Like, that's people who are willing to have had to, or like understand that's a potential or something, or like, willing to accept that reality. There's no law in the Constitution that says people have to accept a reality that they have to defend themselves, or that, you know what I mean? Like, there's people that are not going to be able to defend themselves, period. Like, it's never going to happen. Very, very young, very, very old, nobody can defend themselves, right? So that challenge or whatever, I'm just saying, like, another way to throw that at them. And then when you were, and I don't know if you want to reply to that. I don't know if there is anything to reply to or whatever. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, for that, because it depends. I go through my events and I go by what the room says. You know what I mean? I read the room, because I'm not making a speech online. I'm actually talking to people directly in front of them. So that way I can actually take in. And I go to the police thing. That's one of my talking points too, about the police have no duty to protect you as an individual. And I give them actually an example of the case, Warren versus DC. And once I go through that, depends on if there are kids in the room or not. Once I go through that, I'm like, that's an example of the police were never held accountable for not actually helping rescue women that were actually assaulted after they called the police, and the police never showed up and then lied about showing up. I was like, so yeah, the police are not held accountable for not protecting you as an individual. The only time that counts is when you're in custody. They have to protect you when you're in custody.
I'm not trying to be a jerk or like a devil's advocate intentionally here, and I'm just saying, like, what you're talking about is an instance where neglect or negligence even potentially. But I would just say, what if a bad actor, or a group of bad actors, non-state bad actors, decided on XYZ date and time, we're going to do something horrible to a bunch of people? Well, there's just not enough police to prevent that or stop, to deal with that. So it's not that the police even have to be negligent or hate you or disrespect you or whatever. Like, the police can literally care 100% about trying to help you, because I think a lot of police probably are, but they just can't. They only have two arms, and they're only, so many. They can only deal with things so many times, feet from their vicinity. So if something really was to happen to our country, as like a coordinated effort, the police are going to be able to do what they can do. And so again, you can either wait for them or understand that they can be overtaxed. Like, it doesn't have to be that they don't care about you or they don't have to care about you. It could be they really want to care about you, they just can't. And now again, you're back in that position. You can either wait for them or you could have done something on your own to be, to fill in that gap.
Well, luckily we're in a time frame, because if this was 5 years ago, I wouldn't have a recent example of it. But because of what happened during the pandemic, I'm able to show them, hey, remember during the pandemic when the police said they weren't coming out for this, and this because they were short of manpower? I'm like, it just happened. You can't not remember what just happened. I'm like, that's what goes on. If it's not a priority to them, if they don't have anyone available, and that has just happened, that is nothing that happened when you were, a child. Everybody in here, usually I look around the room, it's like everybody in here was an adult when the pandemic hits. Everybody in here knows that they heard on the news that the police in major cities weren't coming out for things outside of murder and physical violence, but home break-ins and stealing your car, all that stuff was okay. Matter of fact, crime rate's still up from that. I'm like, regardless of your politics, you're on your own, whether you want to believe it or not. And if you don't believe it, you don't want to have that empowerment, that's fine. But don't deny it to other people. So, I mean, again, I can't, and I'm not there to win every talking point with someone, because the point is get them in there, have a conversation, let them know they can ask these questions without being attacked, and then get people that want to shoot onto the range and get guns in their hands, because I'm trying to break through a whole bunch of walls in a 3-hour period, including introducing the Second Amendment advocacy groups that are in the room with me, and do a safety brief and have them watch a safety film if they've never been to the range. So we pack a lot. Oh, and feed them and do a raffle. So there's a lot to be done between the hours of 6 and 9.
So I'm trying to figure out which way to go next. I threw another question up kind of as you were speaking before, and I can't remember exactly what this is going to reply to, but probably something about the Nationals, or I was thinking about the Nationals. But you were sort of saying just to the world, like, this is what needs to happen, right? We should be, you're kind of doing a call to action, I guess you could say, to just gun owners, right? We can't sit around when times are quote unquote good and assume that nothing bad's going to happen, so we can just buy new stuff and go shooting and bullshit about reloading or whatever, right? Like, just do whatever, when in reality, when we have all the cards in our favor, we ought to be challenging those representatives who claim to be on our side to prove it, right? To do stuff on our side. So in that case, instead of just throwing the call to action out there or the question to ponder out there, I'm going to throw out like another, not crank that up a little bit. Who leads the way on that change? I don't think it's possible. It's possible for some grassroots thing. I mean, something would have to happen, I think, to kind of get everybody to look all the same way at the same time. And it's happened in the past. I guess there's ways for this to have happened naturally or something, but I think organically or like grassroots wise, I don't think it's realistic to expect all gun owners to just wake up one day and go, time to call my representative and demand this of them, right? Like, for example, remove the NFA, a good first step to like a real good pull of the Band-Aid or whatever, to like show everyone that, oh my goodness, free machine guns aren't dangerous and they don't devalue themselves. Like, now machine guns are worth more and more people want them and nobody's scared of them anymore. And that we can almost move on with things, because that's the thing that they use to suggest we should get rid of AR-15s, because look, we had to get rid of machine guns because they're so dangerous. We had to get rid of switchblades because they're so dangerous. Well, we got back switchblades, and we're not doing anyway. So who's the leads the way? I don't think it's grassroots. I always bitch that the multi-million-dollar national level organizations sit back on lawsuits and act like nothing is ever going to change. We can just, we're going to win with lawsuits, and that's all we got to worry about is lawsuits. But who leads the way on this? Like, who's going to be the instigator of that change? and I'm kind of throwing it out there to the world, so answer that. But Tony, specifically, any idea? Like, is there? Do you think, like, is it Maj? Is it, oh, I don't know. Like one of the attorneys, maybe. Is it that Four Boxes Diner guy? Like, does that guy ever decide I'm going to lead instead of just say stuff, or is it like somebody like an underdog that we don't, some YouTuber or something? Maybe
See,
a
it'll
singer.
probably have to be some. It'll probably have to be some YouTube. It's not going to be one of the organizations, because the organizations have their they get their money from lawsuits, man. That's where they get their money. That's where they raise their money, and that's where they get their results. I mean, you can't really show people how great you are if you don't have laws to friggin' fight against. I'm sure they'll support it or whatever, but they have a job to do. Like my partner told me back in the day, I've never seen anyone that sold aluminum siding to tell people to get bricks. You know what I mean? To buy a brick house. So I totally get it. But it will take somebody to lead it, because people aren't self-motivated to do one thing, and they'll fly off and do 20 different things. Oh, let's get rid of the ATF. Let's get rid of the NFA. Let's make machine guns legal. Let's get rid of short barrel rifle restrictions. Like it'll be all over the place, and we do need it focused. We need it focused. I think it should be focused on things we have already nearly achieved, which is the Hearing Protection Act and national reciprocity. It's not like anyone's taking a chance. We've been here before, Chief. You know what I mean? We were one mass shooting away from getting all this passed. So I think that would be the easy layup, at least a good place to start. Because understand, all we're doing is starting. I want to push this back to 1930, to when you can just order, your belt-fed machine gun with a suppressor through the mail and have Amazon top it off. So that's where I'm trying to get, because I'm no compromise when it comes to something like this. But we will need someone to step up and lead it off. And I'm busy. I'm busy. I live in a state where I'm just trying to get them to quit trying to cripple me with fees right now. Right now, I have to renew what do you call it? Carry permit. I have to do a change of address. All that's going to cost me about $300 for my firearms ID card, just to get firearms in. So that's what's going on. But yeah, we definitely need someone to lead the charge. And I say lead the charge doing things that have already been achieved. Don't try for something new. Go for the safe, but do it immediately in January. Immediately.
Yeah, I'd like to see a pace that starts sooner than later for sure. I'm going to say I'd like to see everything taken, but by different organizations or different entities or different projects or different people or whatever. But take bites all over the place, just like piranhas or kind of fish that's, I don't know, piranhas, I guess, that, everybody's taking a bite and eventually they're left with a skeleton. And because really all we're doing is going back to where we came from. I always use that cake thing because, I think of it as we had rights and they started to nibble away at those rights. We're kind of doing the opposite. We're putting back, I guess. So I don't know a good analogy for that, but putting it all back in little pieces, or what happens is, like I said, kind of alluded to before. I don't think we know from constitutional carry already in 29 states. Right? Yeah, I can't think about it. That there's no blood in the streets. So it's going to be the same with machine guns. It's going to be the same with what we know from short barrel rifles, and we know from bump stocks, so we know that machine guns don't magically cost less to shoot. They still cost you 30 rounds a magazine or $30 a magazine or whatever they cost nowadays. It's like $50 a magazine now. I don't even know. I haven't bought ammo. I think people would be scared if they thought about the last time I ever bought ammo. If you don't count like buying a rare piece of bullet for my collection, I probably have not bought ammo. If I'm thinking about it, I probably haven't bought ammo. And it's not because I get ammo for free because of some celebrity or anything. I just don't buy ammo. I bought all ammo a long time ago. But I haven't bought ammo, I bet you, since a whole bunch of my listeners have even started shooting guns. Like, I haven't bought ammo in a long time, like ammo to go shooting and stuff, since I've gone like either competitive shooting or just shooting on a regular basis. Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I don't purchase ammo as much as I used to, but I don't shoot as much as I used to either, because I'm always doing events.
Well, I guess that's true. I do shoot once in a while, but it's like that, like bang, bang. And most of the time I'm watching other people shoot because I don't have any interest in pulling the trigger. Actually, I don't have any interest in waiting in line to pull the trigger in front of 100 other people. And then, because they want you to pull the trigger as fast as you can so you can get out of there. So it's like, I'm not in a big deal to go rush. Like I'd go to some event that's smaller
Yeah,
and have some fun, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Let's not talk about SHOT Show right now. That range day. Oh, that's annoying. Oh my goodness, that's okay. Hold on.
I don't shoot at it anymore. I haven't pulled the trigger at range day in a long time because I have more fun just watching range day move on and grow and get different all the time.
So
and it usually
I shoot at it, obviously. I shoot at it obviously because we have content for the show, and we want to, tell people our reaction, and that's what I do. Record myself shooting a gun, and then I pull the phone up close to my face and give my impression of it immediately after shooting it because it's one of the 30 I'm going to shoot that day. So I have to give my impression right away or I'm going to freaking forget. You know what I mean? I'm not going to remember the one Gerson gun that I shot 3 guns in on my 30 gun day. But it is not as much fun as I thought it would be because I have to make it worthwhile. You know what I mean? I give people content, actually have something intelligent to say, notice stuff about the firearms when I'm there. It's like, this should be way more fun. That's what I'm thinking. It should just be way more fun than it actually is. But I'm glad to have the opportunity as a kid to freaking look through gun magazines my entire childhood and adulthood. It's pretty cool. But I wish it was cooler.
Woods is saying, well, I'm going to keep moving, but I want to throw out there again that question of who's going to motivate folks to change our momentum, our tendency, I guess, to do nothing when times are good. And I don't think anybody out there is going to suggest, well, there probably could be somebody that's going to say that the times are bad. And honestly, I think I could think of a couple of ways that I could even think of it right now. But for the most part, I think most people are going to suggest that we're going to have good times for gun stuff in the next 4 years-ish or more. And depending on what changes for a long time, right? If things change for the good and then people leave us alone, which would be the ideal. But anyhow, how do we... what's the word? Like, how do we get more than what we've gotten in the past when times are good? And, I don't know. So I'll quit asking the question, but I do want to keep it out there for anybody that wants to answer. Let's see. Patriot is asking, has anyone found me any leads on a Canon yet? No, but I can't say that I've been to any gun shows or anything. Let's shares. Let me see if I can find. Well, wait, didn't we already look for the small Canon for you? And was there something else I was looking for? I guess I need to be up to date on this. I'm pretty sure. Didn't we go live one time and find the Canon place? I'll go find it again though. Didn't we do that on this show?
I don't remember doing that.
My little pocket Canon might have been on one of the other shows. But I had I have a collection of little tiny cannons, and I did a video on the one that I would say is probably the best one. Oh, what the heck? They got them on Amazon. My. They have 1, 2. Oh, my goodness. All right, so we were going to take a side tangent here. Patriot. But Patriot, let me know exactly what Canon you're looking for there. And then I guess instead of going on too much of a tangent, because I'm trying to keep this at an hour show, we'll go address the other questions that people have asked, and then we'll get back to Patriots though. But I think it started with this, right? DJ, I asked anybody if they had any questions, gun questions. And if I'm missing any, let me know. I do not like the new... Here, let me just do this. I'm about to share a screen anyway. I'm all ditzy here because the... What do you call this? The interface with... Oh, I'm not sharing it yet. The interface with whatever this new system is called. Let me get rid of DJ's thing. And then... how do I full screen this? This interface is about 3/4 the same, but it's not. So this is the interface with this new chat thing that we're using. It's kind of a mirrored picture and a picture here, deal with that. But the side over here is what I'm looking at. The comments over on StreamYard, I can highlight them. Like I can click a little box and they go into another column essentially. And over here, all I can do is bring them up on the screen. So it's driving me nuts because before I was so used to StreamYard, I could click these little buttons and then this would be the question. This would be the question. I think you could see them too, right? As a guest, like you can see them. So it made it really nice. So
yeah, I'm looking at them.
Right. Everybody could see what the questions are coming, but they don't have it anymore. So I'm glitching all over the place. But I think that the thing started here. So if given a choice, let me get rid of this off the screen. If given a choice of bolt action rifle and 150 rounds of your caliber, and then I think it goes to, or a Model 60 and 22 with 1,200 rounds. This is first it hits the fan situation. So a bolt rifle with 150 rounds or a, I don't know what a Model 60 is. Is that a semi-auto? It's like a 1022 except for Marlin?
No, it's... Oh, whoa. What happened? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You were in the middle of asking. There was a drop off.
Oh, sorry. Is it? I don't know if it's like a 1022, just a semi-auto 22, right?
Yeah, the Model 60 is the semi. It's tube fed, if I remember correctly.
So Woods is saying the Model 60 because he can carry the 1,000 rounds.
Yeah, I think I might agree. I don't know. Because when it comes to firearms and shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
Some of it's like overrated, like your need of a gun, like on an everyday basis. Also, when you're carrying a firearm, if you look too tactical, you become a target. If you're just that dude with that old 22, you're just a guy with a 22. You're not looking to go offensive. Then they're not worried about you being a sniper with a little 22, regardless of how good you are. You know, if you don't put a big ass optic on it. I'm just going by one of the. It was an excerpt I read from someone who actually lived through the Balkan Wars, talking about how you actually had to, still go to work, you still had to earn money, you still had to buy groceries, you still had to move, even though there were snipers downtown, there were roadblocks, there were all kinds of weird things you had to work your way through because there was no established government or the government wasn't in control of everything. So you couldn't walk around looking like you were part of a death squad, but you couldn't be unarmed either because that would just make you a victim. So you had to be enough of a porcupine that nobody wanted to mess with you because they didn't want to lose, but not so much of a juicy target like in Escape from Tarkov where you just look like a heavy and they want to take you and, strip you of all your stuff. So with that in mind, I fall along the lines of the Model 60. Model 60 with a wooden stock and maybe just a 1X prism optic. This kind of tiny so it doesn't look like a sniper scope, but it's good enough for my old eyes. Regardless of whether it has batteries or not, it still works. I have like 3 of them.
So my problem with these is it's tough because there's no, are you going to a desert island, you're by yourself? Because you're going to be with somebody else more likely, at least the other person you have to defend yourself with. So if it is you're going to a desert island and you got to hunt, I don't know. I could go either way. I probably would go with the rifle / rounds because I feel like there's more you can do with that. You can reload them if you need to. If you are shooting for real, then you can shoot for real. But I think I agree with you 100%. And I was with you 100%. It's just that I probably would go the other way just for what I just said.
Yeah.
because you're going to be doing a lot more trapping. And in reality, if you really are really never coming back, like something happened where we're never, like if something happens and everything's just kind of crazy and you figure it's a, couple of years and you're going to be back to normal, like a political thing, maybe an environmental thing even. But if like the moon knocks off a big chunk of something and a big thing hits the one thing and now the climate's changed completely, there's a big giant mountain
Whole
sticking out
different
of
world.
ocean. Yeah, like we're not coming back from it. Then what we're really doing is like catching every rabbit and goat and everything. We're not eating it, we're breeding it, and we're eating the rabbit eggs and goat milk or whatever you get out of these things, right? We're bleeding stuff. Hopefully, we're trying to keep things resources for a long time. So hopefully people aren't just thinking they can just hunt. Like, critters don't fall out of the sky. Critters have a lifespan, and that means they have a breeding schedule, and it's either with the seasons or with something. Rainy seasons, rainier years have more rabbits and that kind of thing. So if everybody just went out and ate what's in front of them, we'd have a population, like we'd have like a dead planet. Like we would hunt that thing out in a moment. So I don't play with the idea that we're going to go hunting for our food. If it's a disease and everybody dies and all the rabbits and deers are out there and there's like 16 people left, okay, go nuts, eat a new deer every day. But no tribes of indigenous anywhere slaughtered everything in sight every day. Like they would
what they did was
they do all kinds of things, and then eventually they started herding stuff and putting stuff in, they farmed them like what we do. If they had
you actually had to domesticate. You had to domesticate animals, or you just continually roamed, like continually moved about the countryside because you hunt areas out.
Right, exactly. It worked with your predators. You wouldn't deep whatever a whole area, right? You'd move just like any predator would. That's why predators haul ass, so they don't eat every rabbit in an area. They eat the good rabbits and move on. Then they eat the good rabbits and move on and eat the good rabbits, and they can come back to the first place and eat some more good rabbits, and that's how it works. So anyway, yeah, I think that when it gets into those, it's tough. So I think a bit more of like what you're saying. It turns into some kind of just shitty situation. Do you want to be sitting at your window or your door with a 22, or do you want to be sitting at your door with, what is that, 7 boxes of 30-06?
Yeah, 30-06, 6.5, read more, anything.
But that's what you carry on your body. But you'd want more like 1,000 rounds per caliber, or 1,000 rounds per rifle, 1,000 rounds per pistol, something like that, like for real. But anyway, we gave it a little bit of time, but that's a good one. And hopefully there's shows where people talk about this stuff and really get into depth, and maybe with a little bit more parameters than that. Like, here's a scenario. Now what do you come up with? I like those a little bit better. Now, if it's something different, if DJ's moving, if he's like, which should I keep, this or that? Like, that's a whole different question.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're moving and you're gonna, you have a bunch of semi-automatic rifles, you got, and it also depends on where you're moving to. Like if you have the horrible choice and have to move to New Jersey from a free state, what do you keep? What's worth keeping? What do you have to worry about getting banned?
The music is luring him. He's like, well, I got to move anyway. I might as well move to New Jersey.
Oh my God. Don't.
I have no idea. Maybe he's moving to California. We don't know.
Even worse.
His next question is, why did manufacturers and related gun business folks not actively support pro-firearms bills? Don't they all have lobbyists? Well, I don't think they all have lobbyists by any means. If you think of the big manufacturers, who even is there? I mean, who's a big manufacturer these days? Smith & Wesson? Who are they owned by? Do you think they give a shit about anything? They're owned by a lock company. What about Ruger? Like, maybe they would care? But anyway, going through the main ones, like, it gets really small really quick. Colt, are they a player anymore? I think they're gone.
No, they're owned by Caesar.
Down to like FN, Glock maybe. I'm sure Glock has lobbyists actually. But you know what I mean? Like, there's just not that many giant players like people think there are. If you get into like McDonnell Douglas and shit like that, they got lobbyists. I don't know where
we don't have that.
Come down and touch, like the actual small arms and stuff. But yeah, we're not. That's like, let's keep the wars going type of lobbyists. That's not like worry about our freedom type of lobbyists. They're trying to sell munitions. But that's
Yep.
conflating different things. As we're talking Ruger and Smith and Wesson and stuff, who could care less if there's wars going on. I suspect they probably make more money when there's not wars going on, right? They're not selling anything to a war zone.
Nope. Or they get smaller contracts.
So I think that it's just that they don't have the money. Now there's a couple, Springfield, that wouldn't, because they spent their lobbyists trying to screw with Illinois. So there's some that just won't, and there's probably a bunch that just stay quiet because they don't care. Like, honestly, they think that some, in any field, like there's probably people that build cars that could care less about cars, right? Like, it just happens to be something that their parents own and they still own it or something. Like, you know what I mean?
I'll go ahead and throw it out there because most people don't know. A lot of these companies are small businesses. A lot of these gun companies are really small businesses, or they're ran by mom and pop, and it's whatever that person thinks of. So if they are not thinking about the Second Amendment, if they're not thinking about restrictions they're going to get hit by, they don't do anything. There are very few firearms manufacturers that lead the way when it comes to pushing back against anti-gun legislation. Like, off the top of my head, I know Mike for Sons of Liberty Gun Works. He pushes back all the time. He's really loud with it. He's one of the ones that push back. The guys over at Stag Arms and Arrow Precision actually stood up and pushed back a couple of years ago when they started trying to pass stuff in Oregon and Washington State. But they did because it was right there. It was going to affect them and what they produce. I met them at 2020, and actually we're talking to the owners of both of those places at the Circle Bar in Vegas. And we were talking about activism and how they want to actually actively support 2A activism. But they were just getting into it in 2020. So some wake up and actually push back, and others just keep their head down and try to make sales, and they don't even think about it or want to push back against the government because they worry about it may negatively affect them, maybe with the ATF, maybe with the FBI, maybe with regulations on the state level. Like, it's all over the place. Son of a gun. So that's what I've noticed. I just knocked my coffee over into my own lap. Thank goodness it was lukewarm. But yeah, a lot of your Second Amendment activism doesn't get started with the gun companies. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like CZ is also Dan Wesson, and CZ is also Colt, but they're not an American-based company. So they might not look at, they're not an American-based company anymore. I mean, CZ is out of the Czech Republic.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted before when you were saying so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Like, who do you want to do the heavy lifting as firearms manufacturers? I mean, I agree. Every one of them should be. They should all be standing behind the Second Amendment.
Well,
but they don't.
I have an answer to that. I don't think that I want the companies doing anything unless, they, have an issue. Like you say, that maybe they're in a state where that's affecting them, or maybe like a law that's going after ARs. I don't know, somebody like Daniel Defense or somebody who considers themselves the center of the industry of ARs or whatever that's called, like that sector. Bushmaster could have did it. Colt obviously could have did it. But anybody who considers themselves like the big dude in ARs, they could have said to all the manufacturers, "Hey, let's all sit down at a table and understand that we all, are building the same black rifle that gets demonized the same way, and let's see what we can do." And if that comes into a lobbyist, all right. If it comes into, let's get a marketing firm, all right. If it comes into, like, let's find some, what do you call those people, like spokespeople, like, all right. But I mean, like, I think I agree with you. Let the industry do something, but I guess I'm saying let them delegate that the same way they would if they said, "Hey, we need new sources of iron." They're not going to go like, "Let's grab some shovels." Like, they don't have to do everything, but they can support it. They can fund it. They can organize it. They can instigate it. and then maintain it, right? Same way dentists give a shit about gum or something, I think. Or maybe that's fake. But you know what I'm saying. Woods is saying when you have the big black rifles, that makes you like a target. You're susceptible in a situation. I mean, I would agree at some level. That's why I don't like the idea of carrying around a rifle. If you're getting into an actual scenario like what Tony was talking about, having something concealed, to give you that porcupine, just like a porcupine. It walks around looking like a normal thing, and when it needs to, or like a puffer fish, I guess I was thinking of, looks like a normal fish, but when it needs to, it pokes its needles out, or it's whatever they're called.
Yeah, that's when things like short barrel rifles, backpack guns, being that gray man, actual gray man, not somebody that shops at 511 for their gray man line. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard of.
I got a 511 shirt
I've
the
said
other
it
day.
before.
$79 shirt. I got it for $5 though, but it's really good. It's got that
How much?
pencil. $79. It's $5. I got it for $5.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's brand new still. They had tags on it even. I think what happened is, well, hopefully they didn't pass away, but somebody either retired or something and had like a whole bunch of uniform shirts at the place. And like a whole bunch of them, a whole slew of them were the tags still on them. So anyway, I haven't had a 511 shirt in a long time. I think they might have sent me a shirt like mid 2000s or something. And it's okay. I mean, they're okay. They're mid quality. I would say I've definitely had clothing that had like higher quality, but most clothing is lesser quality. They're like as well made as like workwear, I would say, like overbuilt from like your standard dress wear. But I didn't necessarily love it. It wasn't like tailored to fat people or nothing. And or if it was just sort of like baggy. It kind of is. But the crazy extra pockets and just like features and stuff are kind of neat. But yeah, it stands out as they call it an instructor shirt. The one I got is an instructor shirt. Like it's designed to be. It's kind of look like it gives you the idea of a uniform shirt from like security guard, police, maybe fire, EMS or something like that. Epaulets and stuff on it.
Yeah. I still laugh though because people act like that's somehow gray man.
But do you got to wear something like that?
I'm like, no.
Like, do you got
I just wear a t-shirt and jeans.
Oh, okay.
I gave myself a uniform, t-shirt and jeans.
It's one of them t-shirts that looks like a tuxedo.
Yeah. That was great.
But anyway, I thank everybody for giving us questions. I may have missed some. I did. I wanted to get Patriot to clarify on the Canon thing, but we're going to be doing a chat. Depends on how long I'm out today. We're ending this pretty good. Like if we end this fairly quickly here, then I'll be able to get on the road and do some stuff. So I might be able to do a chat later on today within reasonable hours. Or if I can't, then tomorrow we'll do it in the mid-morning for me, afternoon for you. But Patriot was interested in talking about how to buy a laptop for his daughter. And it's been a while since we've talked about like, what to buy, how to shop for a laptop, something like that. So if anybody's got interest in that, that'll be on the Gear channel. But so like I say, either later on today or tomorrow. But during that show, we can talk more about that Canon if Patriot's still listening. And then I'll probably do a whole nother Canon show because it looks like one of my Canons that I already own is on Amazon. I don't know if I knew that or not. So I'll go. Actually, I don't know where it is. I might be able to find it. And if I can, I'll do a video on it. If I haven't already, I might have already done a video on it. But then I can go through some of the options that are on Amazon because it looks like there's a pile of them on Amazon. I just don't remember what he was looking for. I think he was just looking for something that made noise on the 4th of July. And in which case there's a ton of them on Amazon for you. And they start at like $20. So, and they don't get that expensive. It looks like the most expensive one is $70. So, and that's just super intricate or cool. But anyway, we'll talk more about that in those shows, but I don't want to just end it. If I missed a question out there, that was not my intent. So let me know. Like I say, I tried to show everybody that and it's hard to show that not just is this thing different, or not, it doesn't have the features, but it's so different that I'm sure I'm missing stuff in here. But otherwise, while people are typing in whatever questions they might have, what's happening on your neck of the woods as we head out?
Got a diversity shoot coming up on November 21st. One of the ladies, V, Naturally Armed 75 on Instagram. She pretty much started her lady shoot. She has one on November 19th at Gun for Hire Range. I'm going to be at the 21st. I'm going to be at We Shoot in Lakewood, New Jersey. Other than that, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be at the Youth Shoot, youth shooting event. I don't know how you're supposed to say that so it doesn't sound like you're shooting kids, but we're introducing a whole bunch of kids. I think it's 30 of them all told, to firearms tomorrow at Union Hill Gun Club. That's been sold out for almost a year. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm trying to end the year. I got 3 more events before the end of this year. And we go out to Vegas and start it up again, the whole new season. And hopefully I'll have 1, maybe 2 new ranges going into 2026. I just got to work a lot of overtime so I can build up my comp time so I can take the days off that I need to, so I don't go into no pay status. Because that's the way I get off of work. I work overtime, and instead of taking money, I take time off and just accrue it. Because if I do this right, I have 24 events a year that I need to take off for. That doesn't also count going to things like NRA, SHOT Show, Great American Outdoor Show, and Train and Learn.
And now the GOA.
But, yeah, now GOA also. So if you're out there, if you can donate to me, cool. If you can't, just share my stuff on my social media, which is the second is for everyone on Facebook. Tony Simon on Facebook, only because I have both of those. You never know what'll get shut down. On IG, second for everyone. And on IG, it's SimonSaysTrain. And on X, it's second for everyone. I really need to consolidate them, but I'm worried if I change the name, people won't recognize it.
Yeah, but not that many people. You only need it's like a phone number. You only need it the first time, and then your phone has it, and you don't care about your phone number again, right? Like once you've subbed to somebody, you don't care what their name is anymore. At least I don't.
That's true too.
I was going to ask you though. Well, we did get one question coming in here. If anybody else got any other questions, throw them in. But then I was going to ask. I think we were chatting about this off air with some other people, and I was going to hear your opinion on it. What do you think is the platform for 2025? YouTube, Instagram, X, something else?
Right now, I think it might be X, only because of the position that Elon's going to hold. It may be more powerful, maybe more listened to, it may be less edited. I'm hoping. Because it's not going to be YouTube. YouTube is just weird when it comes to being pro 2A or firearms content. They'll change things at the top of a hat. IG, same. So yeah, I'll put it out there as X.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I was looking at some numbers of how much use X has gotten, and this comes from Elon Musk, but because he posted it or whatever. But I mean, what is he posting? Fake data? I mean, it essentially, but it basically said, it had grown kind of like it would expect for a long time. And then when he took over, it grew a little bit more. And then lately it's like, boom, like a complete vertical line, like straight up, and then way higher, like 10 times more use than it's ever got. So it's just at a whole nother level.
I'm about to start paying for a blue check.
I pay $7 for it. I don't care about the check. I would. I don't care so much about the check. I mean, that's nice, I guess, but it gets rid of some of the ads, and the ads were annoying as hell, and they're still annoying, but they're nowhere near as bad as they were. And then the Grok, what they call their AI, it's a really good AI. So it's not like the only AI I use, but it is a pretty decent AI. So it's for $7, it's the cheapest AI, and it's a pretty good one. Most of the other AIs.
Yeah, I was looking at it. Yeah, I was looking at it for a couple of reasons too. It was like I'm trying to get out there, I'm trying to do more posts. You know what I mean? And to have to limit it and not even get full thoughts out, like it takes a lot of work to get like complete thoughts into that character limitation that you have on X.
Oh, you get
And
more
people want
characters
to add
when you
other
pay?
stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, you get more characters when you pay too. So it's that and the ability to do other things. And you can also get paid.
Oh, yeah, that's right, too.
And I'm
You
like,
can
okay.
get paid. Yeah, I like that idea. I'm nowhere near that, but you never know, right?
Hmm.
I might
You
start
never
showing my
know what can happen in the future. I get on one good show, that has a large audience and it picks up. And now all of a sudden I have, you know, 20,000 people following me instead of 8,000. I think I'm at 7,000 and change right now on X. Like that can make a move. You know what I mean? That can get me paid for some engagement. I just won't become an engagement farm, but I will ask dumbass questions like, which is better, a 1911 or a Glock?
Yeah.
If that can get people to come to the page, it's annoying as hell. I just
I
don't
like
like it.
asking questions,
I,
though.
I,
I try to ask interesting questions, but I do like asking them because I know when I go online, if I just looking at stuff,
Mhm.
I get sick of it. Like I can't go look at stuff and watch movies, or I go look at stuff and something else. So having the
Okay.
interaction or whatever, I like that. Like that's I don't know, Ghost. A couple other people do polls. Foss, he does polls on a regular basis because then it's
Yeah.
just a little bit different. You get to see what other whatever viewers, other people who polled, or what they're thinking. And then you get to see what the polls are in general. Like because these are both people that have live shows. So they use that as ways to have conversation during the show or whatever. Like you guys on the Tuesday show, if you had a poll going, you'd have, be able to talk about the results of it or whatever. So anyway, I like it for like
Hmm.
that. I know what you're talking about where people are
Okay.
just wasting everybody's freaking time by saying the same old. And that's what I was kind of raging about before. I try not to rage about it, period, because you got to let people have the conversation, right? You're allowed to have the
Mhm.
conversation as a new person. But after 70 times, come on, like let the conversation evolve. But yeah, you don't want to stop the conversations from happening or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I never thought of that. But yeah, you're right.
But
All right, cool. I might use it then.
so then the last gun question. What is the most pro 2A car? He's saying Jeep. So I'm wondering, does that mean brand or specific vehicle? I'm going to say, I don't know what it is, but the Mad Max one, the good one from the good Mad Max, where the shotgun is underneath the back.
Like a Camaro or something.
I don't know what that was. It was some kind of foreign
The
car.
Mel
Probably.
Gibson Mad Max from back in the day.
Yeah. That black one where he's got the dog
Yeah.
and then he's got a shotgun underneath the back where somebody tries to steal it or something. Didn't he have a shotgun underneath there? Anyway, that I would say that's a cool
Yeah.
car. I don't know if it's the most
funny.
pro 2A car, but it's a cool gun car, I guess.
The most pro 2A gun.
Might be a Tesla right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna talk about it and talk about the owner, it's Tesla because he's pro 2A.
Right?
The rest of it is just an image we've painted in our heads. Yeah, so I'll take that because the rest of it is just the image we paint in our heads of what kind of people drive what kind of cars. I understand. I'm pro 2A is everything, and I drive a Volvo. Like I'm an absolutist, and I drive a Volvo.
I don't know. Volvos can be pretty rugged. Aren't they all? Wait, are they all 4-wheel drive?
No, but mine is.
Okay, but yeah, what is it? It's Subarus. No, I don't know. Patriot saying a Chevy 2. Is that an actual thing?
Chevy's
or is he
2A. I think he went Chevy 2A. Maybe.
Well, I know the Chevy 2.
I don't know. I don't know cars like
there's Chevy 2A. Yeah, but a Chevy 2 looks kind of like a Nova, I think. But I don't know if there's really an A model or if he's just saying it like a Canadian. All right, with that, we're done. So thanks everybody for joining us. A little bit short. At least it's way shorter than our 4-hour shows. But this way, Tony's not spending the whole afternoon chatting on the thing. And we'll leave you wanting something next week. Throw some questions in there. Let people know about Ask Gun questions when you're on conversations or on chats or stuff. Like throw it out there so that people will flood us with a whole bunch of new questions. And our goal is to not just give you like the answer, but to roll around with them and give you something to ponder, something to think about, hopefully. And ideally, direction if we can't give you the answer itself. It's a pre-Nova, but I always added an A. I gotcha. All right, with that, we'll click the button,
Okay.
and I think it'll end everything.
Cheat. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.